Guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, Trespass and Steal Gasoline from a Farmer's Property? I'll ruin your car, never mess with a farmer. TLDR. I am a farmer and some neighbors have been sneaking onto my property to steal my gasoline. Not only that, but they killed 2 of my chickens and littered beer cans all over the place. I had no evidence, so instead I got revenge. I filled up the gasoline container with sugar, soap and oil and watched as their car got destroyed from it. In the car was open beer and drugs, which got them in even more trouble. They pled guilty after accidentally confessing, and I got money to clean out the container while the 2 of them went to jail. I live in a pretty rural area, and when I say that, I'm talking about not seeing another house, properties a few miles apart, rural. I know that people from other areas might not understand why I have gasoline on my farm otherwise. It powers my truck, my generator, my farm equipment, and some smaller things. The nearest actual gas station is about a 45-minute drive, so like a lot of farmers here, I just build a container on my farm and once a month or so I get gasoline delivered to me. I know what anyone who has had to fill up their car tank is thinking, and the answer is yes, it is expensive. But it's necessary and it goes to good use between my crops and animals. Now I know you are all waiting to hear about what kind of jerks my neighbors are, and I won't keep you in suspense any longer. I don't know exactly what house they lived in, but there were so few people I basically consider them neighbors since I knew they were close enough to me. I guess they found out about where I was keeping the gasoline on my property and decided that instead of paying for it, they could just take some from me. I didn't hide it anywhere, and it isn't like at a station where you need to pay to get the pump to go. They were just able to fill up and go, while for a while I couldn't do anything but watch. They didn't come in any predictable pattern, so sometimes I would see them driving away, and sometimes by the time I got over there they were long gone. Other times I wasn't even home but knew they had been there because they decided to leave empty beer cans lying around on my property. Right about now you would be asking why I didn't just get them arrested for theft or trespassing. The answer is simple: I didn't have any cameras, so there was no proof they were stealing from me. I couldn't get them arrested unless they were caught doing it, and by the time any police would have arrived, they would be long gone. The reason I didn't try to stop them myself on the few occasions I caught them in the act was because I knew they were holding guns on them, and that mixed with the empty beer cans means a bad idea. Sure, I have my rifle, but I would prefer not to put my life in jeopardy over it. My life is worth more than the gasoline they stole. I also knew that they weren't afraid of using their guns like a bunch of idiots the day I came out and found 2 of my chickens were shot. They were out of their enclosure, and these 2 were known escape artists. But there weren't really any wild dogs around, so they were usually safe and wandered back in the morning when I would feed them. That morning though, I found them dead pretty close to the gasoline. I was angry because one sure-fired way to get a farmer mad is to kill any of his livestock, because they aren't only my chickens, they are part of my source of income. Those 2 chickens were raised since they hatched right on the farm. They finally took it one step too far, and now I was out for something better than a trespassing charge. I wanted revenge. Luckily, I have another unit to hold gasoline on the farm, with the difference being it was an older model that was a little more difficult to use and was also on the opposite side of the farm where it was inconvenient. When my monthly supply of gasoline came, I had them put it in that one, the one that nobody else but me really could see or know about. Now this might sound like a lame revenge because all I did so far was inconvenience myself. The other container still had some gasoline in it, and I was going to sacrifice what was left with a little surprise. I mixed in sugar, soap, and veritable oil with what was remaining. I poured a little out to make sure that it looked right, and then I waited. I still made sure to keep my distance, but I watched them take the bait and fill up their truck with my gasoline. They start moving all right, and I call the police to report it and tell them what direction I saw them drive off to. Then I got into my truck and followed to see how far they got before something happened. It was 2 miles later they started to slow down before their car made a crazy noise and stopped altogether. When the cops arrived, I told them how I called them and exactly what had happened. The men were furious, but there wasn't much they could do about it. The genius part of this revenge is they couldn't counter-sue me for destroying their vehicle because I didn't actually do anything, they put it in their own car. In trying to blame me, they ended up incriminating themselves and telling a judge how they always had gasoline in that container before and I changed it on purpose. The judge basically said I could do what I wanted with my own property, and even when it came to the point of my chickens, they screwed themselves over. They were saying about how they didn't actually kill the chickens because they were both alive after they shot them. Yes, these neighbors were that stupid. They turned out to be brothers, so it's hard to say if the problem was genetic or something else. When the police searched their car that night, they found open beers and even a pipe that had traces of crack on it. Between all of that, they were in massive trouble because drugs are cracked down on hard around here. They would have gone to jail just for that alone, and they had to pay me for the 2 chickens they killed and the market price of the gas they stole from me on all the other occasions. They basically pled guilty knowing they were screwed. I used some of the money to make sure that unit got a thorough cleaning and inspection so I could use it again, this time without anybody coming around to steal it. Some say revenge tastes sweet. Well, in this case, because of the sugar I added to the gasoline, revenge got to smell kind of sweet too. They ended up going to jail about a month later, but without a truck, transport was hard for them. I didn't care though, because a broken truck just meant they could stay away from me, and they were left walking for miles or trying to get a ride into town for the court dates. They were mostly angry that I didn't have to pay for any truck repairs, and once the drug charges stuck, they didn't have a chance anymore. They learned that messing with a farmer is a really stupid idea, because once you get us mad, you bet that we are going to get some nice old-fashioned revenge on you. The next story is titled, "Give Up on My Career or Move Out." Okay, this happened recently and right now things have calmed down, so it feels right to post this here. So about 2 weeks ago, my best friend, 22, had called me, 23, asking if he could be my roommate if I find a place. I was looking for a place to stay while going to college. I told him, sure, but why? But he said he'd tell me later. We both meet up a few days later and drive about an hour away from our hometown to move into the place. We spent a few hours setting everything up and unpacking. Yet he never said anything about why he wanted to move in with me so suddenly. After we were done, he sat down and explained the situation at home. He and his parents had been at each other's throats recently because he had landed a remote job after our summer internship, and they thought he was wasting his life playing on the computer. His parents have always done factory and physical labor jobs and look down on people who work from their computers because they don't know what real work is. Side note: his dad actually does his auto shop's taxes and other functions from his office and rarely does any mechanic work himself, so it's kinda hypocritical. He continues to tell me that the day before he called and asked me, they had a huge blowout that resulted in his parents giving him the ultimatum of, get a real job or get out. He says he just went to his room and started packing. I'm guessing even if I said no, he was moving out regardless. That brings us to him telling the story to me. When he was done, he looked so relieved. I believe the reason he kept so quiet during the move was because he was holding it in and trying not to go crazy. After that, we both spent the rest of the day hanging out to try and keep his mind off of things. Fast forward 3 days later, his parents call him asking why his stuff's not in his room. They were gone a few days to give him time to come to his senses, thinking he'd give up his roughly 4 years of college and internships to get a job as a mechanic starting from scratch. There's nothing wrong with mechanic or people who work labor jobs, but he's been working his butt off these last few years only for them to basically tell him to drop all of that and get a job they want him to get. I leave the apartment to give him and them some privacy and take a quick walk. When I get back, 20 minutes later, he's got a wide smile on his face, and he tells me the long and short of it. He apparently left a few details out before and this time told me the whole story. Roughly around the time we started working at that paid internship, his parents have been charging him rent, $350, every month as motivation for him to get a real job, and the blowout they had was about him being able to pay it, despite not having a real job they had picked out. They said he needed to grow up, get real work experience, and even went as far as accuse him of stealing to get the money, so he had had enough and packed up while they were gone. The phone call they had was him basically telling them he can't go back home because he's not gonna change his major, current job, or career path, so he was staying at the apartment with me. I asked him if he's gonna be okay. He assured me that he already explained everything to his other relatives and that they're gonna try and talk to his family to see if they can convince them to understand why he wants this job and how computer work is still work. This is gonna be our last 2 semesters and the tuition is already paid off, so we're good ATM, as the only thing we gotta worry about is the rent, which we can both cover pretty well. Honestly, I was gonna ask him to split this apartment with me regardless because I found a good apartment complex that had a shuttle to our college and had 2 rooms open, but I'm still glad I could help him. He says he'll eventually start talking to his parents again, but I don't think that'll happen until after they come to their senses, or else they might lose their only son. Update. Me and my friend, let's call him Jay, got a visit over the weekend from his aunt telling us how they tried explaining to his parents the situation, but it seems like they're dead set on dying on that hill. She says that if he ever wants to move back to our hometown, he can live with her. Jay didn't seem too surprised by the news, and honestly neither am I. So he's decided to completely move away from home after college to the city. A software company we've been looking at is stationed. It offers remote work, but the apartments there are surprisingly affordable. His aunt says that's okay, then gave me some overly sweet speech about how I'm a good friend for sticking by him, and even joked that we'd make great lovers, which caused an awkward moment. Anyway, I don't know if I'll update soon, as I need to focus on my studies, but I'll try to keep you guys posted. Update 2. Jay had a final spat with his parents, and I was in my room when it happened. I didn't hear everything, but it seems that Jay's aunt exposed what's going on to even the extended family, and his parents weren't invited to some birthday celebrations. I think the family isn't gonna invite them to any family get-togethers anymore. He had them on speaker with them screaming, "It's your fault for being so stubborn, you should have just gotten a real job like we told you." And Jay firing back, "Yo dumbass, the one that don't wanna listen. I don't care anymore, don't call me." He hung up the phone and blocked them. He explained to me that most of the family staying away from them now because they've been saying and doing stuff like this for a while now, and Jay getting kicked out was the last straw. My ma told me that even the neighbors know about them now. I may have told my gossiping mama about them, and so people just ain't messing with them no more. The next story is titled, The Refund. I have been ordering groceries from Walmart for the last year since I have been unable to get a caregiver and I have a compromised immune system. If you get a cold, it kills me. Variety. I also have a broken back and a condition that makes me dislocate every bone when I move. I have transitioned into frozen dinners to not starve, and I can't just eat anything. My body is terrible at being alive. So, I get food assistance, and the SNAP system of EBT uses a debit card style system. I have only had 2 orders without issues in the last year. Instead of the food I have ordered, things I received range from a plastic footlocker full of marshmallows to airborne allergens that put me in the hospital because instead of the egg, cheese, potato bowls someone went, "This customer needs a ready-made cucumber salad." This is the same. It's so reliable a thing my neighbors wait for my texts listing their available free food options. This week it's pineapple mango juice. I am allergic to pineapple. I pretty quickly mastered the refund system. After the 3rd time, however, the system started making me call. Every single time. Then I was told, "You need to open a dispute with your cardholder." Are you sure? I am only missing a $5 item. Yes. We no longer believe you're missing items. Me. I just sent you photographs of everything in the bags. You admit I didn't order those mushrooms. Why are you saying I lied? Too many returns. So, I call up the EBT system and detail everything. I offer the photos of every single order. At this point I had 3 they were refusing refunds on. It just took 4 weeks for anyone to actually talk to me. I had been hung up on many times. EBT doesn't need my evidence. We get this all the time. I see partial refunds on 2 of these, so they'll automatically refund the whole order, and our investigation team will look at the others. If they do need that evidence, we will call you. I woke up to full refunds for 6 orders because in investigation they decided that I should have those others too. So, Walmart paid me back $800. Instead of $5. The best part is they're not making me call EBT to refund. They just do it now, and I know I can have a nice meal on my birthday. Edit. I do make sure my order has no substitutions. Still appreciate people making sure because one never knows. The last story is titled, My entitled moron of a neighbor set loose a pit bull on my dog, then gets mad at my mom for throwing me a birthday party. TLDR, neighbor releases pit bull on our dog, ruins my birthday party, guilt tripped us and swore at me multiple times. So, for a backstory, my neighbor has always been a jerk to us. They've tried to get our dogs to bite them at least 10 times by now, and it has been getting out of control. They've gotten mad over tiny things such as my dogs laying too close to our fence, which is the neighbor's fence too. Anyways, the reason you folks are reading this right now is to laugh at my mentally insane neighbor. So, let's get into it. The cast. Me, yours truly. M and MD, my parents. J, my uncle. M, entitled moron. It all started when my dog was attacked by M's pit bull. My uncle nearly had to kill the darned pit bull to get it off of my dog. My dog now has to live with 3 legs now, which isn't easy because even though he's had 3 legs for about 3 years, he still struggles to walk or run. This happened when I was 11. Anyways, I will not get into the gruesome details of what happened to my dog and the neighbor's dog, since most people have a weak stomach. Jay told me what happened. He heard the attack start under his window, which then caused him to run to the pit bull to try and keep it from attacking my dog. He mostly succeeded, but my dog left without a leg. Second part. A year later, I had my birthday party. A pool party. Which my neighbor then proceeded to ruin by cursing out literally the entire party with kids with their ages ranging from 6 to 12. That's right, she swore at literal toddlers. She even called my black friend, who was 8, the word that starts with an N. Yep, I know what you're thinking. She's messaged him on Facebook multiple times, calling her words I do not wish to say here. It's gotten so bad at this point she's even tried to guilt trip us into moving away by saying that apparently, she had to euthanize her dog because of us, and other stuff a wicked witch like her would say. MD has come close to whooping her tail about 23 because she's insulted me a ton after the incident. So, who is in the right or the wrong here? Thank you for listening.